Hey everybody, this is Cameron from Obnoxious and Anonymous, and I am here with Mr. Joey Pedras. How's it going?
Hello, everybody. Hi. I'm doing okay. How are you?
Doing great, doing great. So today, I thought it'd be fun to do sort of a Queen of Hearts update, but instead of just having me blabber on as usual, I know you did a trailer review a while back. And I figured, hey, you know what? Instead of multiple videos, let's just do one video and kind of discuss the updates and discuss the photo montage I uploaded yesterday, and we can take people's questions and kind of have fun with that. But I'm so happy to have you here. You doing good?
It's been a while. Yeah, I'm doing all right. It's super busy now. That's why I haven't been able to do much on my channel lately, but hopefully I'll get back to it soon. But yeah, things are okay. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, things are going pretty okay over here too. Super busy, super tiring. As you can imagine.
Yeah.
You know, working full time, having a kid, making this film. It's amazing that I have not just completely physically passed out yet.
You look youthful, Cameron.
Yeah, I know, but at the same time, it's like, because I've been keeping this pace for quite a while now, I'm curious to know when the project is done, what is going to happen. Because no, I'm serious, because I worry about this kind of stuff. I know Kubrick was older, but to just be busting your tail, work on some, and then all of a sudden go cold turkey, that can be a shock to your system if all of a sudden you're not busy 24 hours a day. So I'm trying to figure out okay, I'm going to have to ease off the pedal rather than brake. So
that's a good plan.
Yeah. So I figured before we start, I'm going to pull up the picture montage from yesterday. I'm not going to have any sound on it. You guys can watch it along with sound if you want to, just because I don't want to deal with music copyright and all that kind of nonsense. But let's just kind of look at it, and then we'll talk about it, and then we'll take questions. But here it goes. All right. Oh, we have this wonderful jewelry thing. Yeah. I had a comment the other day saying, wow, stage blood rarely looks good in close up, but they were impressed with that stage.
No, that looked good.
Yeah. I love this. This is just the perfect image of what Wyndham and Caroline's marriage is like.
Her face.
Right. And I love these little bunnies. I had somebody contact me yesterday going, did you literally CGI bunnies into your picture? I was like, no.
Oh, those were just there.
Yeah, those are there. And here's Cooper and Earl looking suave. Oh, I love this picture of Caroline.
That's a good one.
Yeah, it's she looks stunning. She looks like a 1940s movie star here. This is the Blackburn residence. And I had this really great comment the other day where someone saw this and they said, sometimes her hands bend back. And I thought, that's adorable.
Oh, yeah. See how that happens?
Yeah. And then here's Cooper and Caroline looking a little nervous about their future.
Guilty.
Yes. God made us sisters, hearts made us friends. That is a reference to Annie and Norma. And here's Cooper and Earl playing chess, and Caroline's like, oh. And of course, the image that we have returned to several times within all the trailers is Annie at Jack Rabbit's palace, and then it closes out with Annie and this version's Cooper. And there it is. That is the ending of the photo montage. But I had a lot of great comments. People were really happy and saying wow, for something that's just kind of a photo montage, that's really cool. And the music was cool and all that. So, so Joey, I have to ask, I'm sure you saw that yesterday. What did you think of when you saw those pictures?
Well, just to start off that first image of like the wallpaper, I don't know if you intended, but that there's a part on the left that kind of looks like a pie.
Well, there's also a part that looks like the golden orb too.
Yeah, that too. I was like, what? So what is that? Can you tell me what is that wall?
It's a painting.
It's just a painting.
It's a painting. We were shooting at a location, and that painting was just on the wall, and I was like, "That's amazing."
That's very cute.
So, I had to get that picture. I had to get that shot. So yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I really was wondering if it was intentionally, if that was a very intentional picture that you got for the movie, or if you had commissioned it or something like that. I did. That's a pie. That's a pie.
I did not commission it. It was just on the wall of where we were shooting. But you know what? It's very, you have to employ that kind of David Lynch thing of like letting the locations talk to you, and all of a sudden, like for instance, that's that shot of the nurse reading to Annie. Okay. Mm-hmm. We went outside where we were shooting to shoot this moment of the nurse reading to Annie. The book she's reading from is a children's book called The Runaway Bunny. And so we were looking at places like, oh, we could shoot it here, we could shoot it there. And all of a sudden we turned the corner and there were all these bunnies in the grass. And it was like, well, there it is.
Those are the bunnies. That's where they went.
And so we said, this is it. This is where we're going to do it. And so it's just really just perfect. And,
wow.
Yeah. I mean, just letting the universe come in and be like, okay, I guess we're going to do it here. And
can you think of any other situations where that happened, where it's sort of serendipitous?
Well, I mean, sometimes the staging has had to change, or scene intent has had to change because like we don't have that location, or we have a different location than what we thought. So it's like, we kind of have to reconfigure stuff. So like if you read the script, which will come out when the movie comes out, you'll be able to see like differences in there,
variation. Yeah.
I mean, it's not like, I'm not a multi-million-dollar movie where I can say we're going to shoot this here. It's like, we're lucky to shoot this anywhere. So,
anywhere. Yeah. I mean, and then to have things align like that, like the rabbits and maybe a cherry pie looking painting.
Well, it is all about the bunnies though, ultimately.
It is all about the bunnies.
Exactly.
I mean,
all right. Well, I'm going to be at kind of your disposal because I know you have a lot of questions and I know other people have questions, and let's just kind of get to it. I have about little over a month left of shooting to do. And when I say that, I don't mean like 30 days. I mean like a few weekends. And, but it will take about that long to do it in terms of weekends and stuff like that. And then it'll be wrapped, which now when I say that, I mean like the main production will be wrapped. There's always going to be little pickup shots to get and things here and there, but for the most part, it will be wrapped. It's been a long time, my friend, to get to this point. But yeah, we're getting there. It's a little amazing to like be getting closer every weekend, to see the schedule like literally shrink. And I did not plan to like just start big and then like, go out with like easy stuff. Like some of the hardest stuff is towards the end, which is, I don't know why I did that.
Gonna go out with a bang, I guess.
I guess so. But anyway, so all right, I'm here. Whatever you want to ask, go ahead.
All right, so I feel like this movie has already gone through like almost before it even came out. I feel like there's been a couple different incarnations of it.
How
from the stuff we've seen in the beginning, we've seen the early trailers and the early images to the stuff coming out now. Kind of want to know what how that transition, all this transitioning has has it helped the movie? Has it hindered it? I know there's been stuff that's held the movie back, but how do you feel about where it started in terms of like the trailers and stuff to where it is now?
Oh, I'm happy with all of them actually. The story has never changed. The scenes have never changed. The character dynamics have never changed. But just in terms of like the difference is that those introductory trailers were shot to be introductory trailers. Now you're getting like the actual footage,
the beef from the movie.
So like, there's been lots of promotional trailers. Well, those are pretty much all shot to be promo stuff. But now you're getting to see like the real actors and the real, that type of thing. So that's the big difference. It's not it's not a stand-in doing this because I'm trying to create publicity for the project. It's now you're seeing like the actual people.
Yeah. It's been quite a progression since those first trailers where we heard. I heard and everybody else heard that this was going to be, when we heard Jake calling out for Annie through the void and stuff like that. So what are some of the, I would say, some of the, how is the chemistry? How is this chemistry working out?
Between who?
I mean, the chemistry I've wanted to know about, and that I think I asked about earlier, is I'm super curious to see what this Cooper, Caroline, Wyndham Earl situation is going to be like. So
let me pause you right there. Let me just pause you right there. That when you made that video and you said that, it delighted me because it also led me to believe that a lot of people didn't read because it's always been Annie. Everything's been about Annie, right? But if you go to the crowdfunding campaign, it clearly states at the beginning, this film revolves around Annie, Cooper, Wyndham, and Caroline. But everyone's, because it's all been Annie focused, nobody really thought about that. And then all of a sudden, because we started with a lot of the Cooper, Caroline, Wyndham stuff, and we were transitioning into the Annie stuff. So that was the first kind of stuff that we had to put out there. But it was kind of like literally like an atomic bomb on some people because they were like not expecting Cooper, Earl, and Caroline. They kept thinking Annie. And so I feel like they became like blindsided by this. All of a sudden, it's not like, oh, this isn't just like a throwaway thing of Cooper opening his wallet, looking at a picture of Caroline. No, these are major players.
I'm excited because this is that's always been sort of an intriguing part of the original story to me is what did Cooper get into before he ended up in Twin Peaks. So I'm curious to see how this plays out with these three.
Like was he always moralistic, or did he become moralistic because of the situation?
Yeah, those are answers I wanted to know. I'm sure that's answers everybody wants to know. Has he always been this Cooper? I mean, we had the sort of the autobiography, but you could kind of take it or leave that.
Well, you have to also remember he's younger too.
Yeah.
Right. And the way I always pictured it, and this is just my approach, is that Cooper, when he's younger, is more Jeffrey Beaumont than he is Agent Cooper. I always felt, even though it's not official canon, I always felt that Blue Velvet was sort of the prequel to Twin Peaks. It kind of is. I mean, more or less, it is the template for what Twin Peaks was eventually created out of. And you look at Jeffrey Beaumont and you think, like, the way I always looked at it, whenever I watched Blue Velvet as a kid, and this was, when I say as a kid, I don't know why I was watching as a kid, but especially after Twin Peaks, when he's sitting at the diner with Sandy and they're talking about like sneaking in her apartment, oh my God, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
That always played to me as that's Cooper and Diane. Always plot, kind of coming up with little, hey, we could do this, we could bug this person, we could do this, you know what I mean?
Good.
So I always thought Laura Dern's Diane, always. And so when they announced her, I said, of course, it's been written on the wall since 1986. You know, I mean, like literally, like I wish I've had. In 1990, I remember creating a like Twin Peaks like whiteboard for like school presentation, and I literally said Diane will be played by Laura Dern in magic marker when I was like 14 years old on that whiteboard. So I knew. So anyway, so Cooper in this film is much more, you know, he's Wyndham Earle is his mentor.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, he's Agent Cooper, but he's just not Agent Cooper with the experience, you know. And then you start bringing in somebody like Caroline, who's, you know, might or might not be sort of a, you know, Mrs. Robinson type, you know, and you know, maybe she's a little bored with Wyndham, or maybe this is how Wyndham and her get their kicks. You know, let's screw with the new. Let's screw with the newbie a little bit, not knowing how serious it could get. You know.
Oh wow! All right.
You know, I mean, there's so many layers you could obviously look at this.
Yeah.
You know, it could be all of them. It could be none of them. But but it is an interesting concept to play, because it's something that I always felt was so instrumental into getting Cooper to where he is at the start of Twin Peaks.
That's why this is probably one of the more exciting. I mean, I love the whole Annie story, but this is probably one of the most. I mean, again, I've told this before, but I haven't read the script, so I'm coming into all this news, so I'm very curious to see what happens with this, because this is something I've always wanted to know. I want to know how it plays out. I want to know how he got to where he is.
Well, your video was interesting because you said this was something that I didn't know I wanted to see until I saw it. And I don't think it's something that a lot of people have thought about, you know, but it's something that's been on my mind for a while. So,
I mean, when you watch the original, I mean, watch season 2, why does this guy hate him so much? What caused this guy to crack like this?
I mean, we know, you know, he fell in love with his wife. Okay. You know, so that's the thing. Right. And so it's sort of this redemptive tale. It's like, okay, obviously, I mean, it's no surprise, right, that Annie's going to win Miss Twin Peaks. It's just not, because it's just the way the story is set up. The story has always been set up so that Wyndham Earle takes her and Cooper has to redeem himself for the prior affair.
Bad karma.
Exactly. But yeah, it is a major part of the film. It's not just like a 5-minute throwaway. It is a huge part.
I'm super excited to see that part.
All right, what's your next question?
So we're gonna see a lot of Annie, obviously. Now from what we've seen from the images and some of the trailers, we've seen what would you say the biggest difference between the Annie that we get in season 2 and some Fire Walk with Me and Queen of Hearts? What do you think are some determining factors, some bullet points to what makes this Annie sort of separated from the Annie we've seen? Because we haven't seen a whole lot. So what is this? Who's this Annie?
If you survived a literal near-death experience, what would you be like the next day? Yeah. I know that there may be some people, when they see the film, they may go, well, this isn't quite the Annie I remember.
Okay.
But that's because she hadn't gone through what she just went through. She may be a little changed. Okay. And I don't mean that she's just sulking and crying and like having a nervous breakdown or stuff like that, but just being yanked into an alternate dimension may change you quite a bit from just an outlook on life and
I mean, yeah, I'm sure. We didn't really even get to see how that really affected Cooper. I mean, we saw him. He came back. He was, I am the FBI, all that stuff, and then he started doing some magical hand waving, and we didn't really get to see like the impact that had. So it's going to be interesting to see.
Well, you could argue that maybe he didn't realize the impact too, because I mean, who knows what time is like in the lodge? I mean, he may not have really felt the whole 25 years.
He might have been sitting in that chair for maybe a couple days.
Yeah, I mean, time could be relative in there. 3 days in there might be 20 years. So who knows? I don't know. My film doesn't deal with that, so I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, the time rules of the Black Lodge.
Yeah, nobody knows. But yeah, I mean, so Annie is going to be a little different, but it's not like she's not unrecognizable. I mean, it's still Annie. It's just it's Annie with that's she's gone through some things.
Yeah, I wanted to get a better picture of like, because we were seeing this Annie, and she's showing up.
Now keep in mind the actress that you see in this photo clip that this, I mean, those of you who've been following this project, this is the fourth Annie cast, more or less. So and she's incredible. She's great. She's wonderful. And so it's when I look back at all the issues and all the problems of that, it's like I will never forget what happened, but at the same time everything was moving towards this direction. Like the reason why this film is clicking with so many people right now, even just from the trailers and stuff like that, it's because it was always meant to be like this. And this is what I always wanted from the very beginning, but just was getting mixed up with wrong people. But this right now, the film is what it always needed to be.
That's why I asked about the chemistry, because I know, people that have been following the story, it's gone through, a lot of there's been a lot of issues, especially in the beginning. I wanted to know if we're gonna see these people on the screen as these characters that we love, if they're if they're working well together, if we're gonna feel it, we're gonna really feel whatever they're going through at that time.
Oh, absolutely. You'll feel the desperation and sadness and tiredness and all the stuff they're going through, because that's what they're going through on the set. It's been a long shoot. If you shoot a film, and let's say it's going to take you, I'm hypothetically throwing out this number, guys. So, but let's say you're going to shoot a film that's going to take you 25 days, right? Mm-hmm. But let's say you can't shoot it 25 days straight, right? So you shoot weekends, right? Well, that's 13 weeks. That stretches out to 4 months, right? So it's been a long shoot, but it's only been a long shoot because we've had to do it primarily on weekends. So it stretches the whole thing out. And so, I can't thank my producer enough, because we've had to hold everybody together for a long time. And some of these actors have been on the set to be in this film for a year, and they've just been waiting for me to say, okay, we got this person, so we could start. And then get the locations, and we couldn't get the locations until we had the actors, because we couldn't book things unless we knew we were actually going to start. And so, there was the actress who plays Caroline, right? She's from Los Angeles.
Okay.
And she came up like for weeks, back and forth to shoot, and she's a huge Twin Peaks fan. And so the idea of her playing Caroline was just like mind blowing for her. And I told her, I said, one of the cool things about Caroline is that like this actress is playing Annie, this actor's playing Cooper, this one's playing Wyndham Earl. These are characters we know.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's room that you can do stuff, but it's a box that you're stuck in. Caroline is completely open. You can pretty much do whatever you want with her, because she only has a couple lines and it's in the Black Lodge. So that was very thrilling for her to be able to just basically, using my script, define the character. And we changed her throughout the shoot too. I mean, because we would be like, okay, this is kind of like what she should be like. And then she started bringing in more and more eccentricities to it. And then we thought, well, that's cool. So we'll use this over here. And so we started like building her character like more, because I didn't know that she was going to start bringing this other stuff in. You know what I mean? But when she started bringing in there's a few things that she does, just behavior wise, I was like, there it is. I mean, like seriously, like that's so we started injecting that stuff throughout, you know.
Oh, so. I can believe it, especially the eccentricities. I'd never thought of that, but that probably was maybe what started attracting Cooper to Caroline. Maybe she's just like, you know, he likes kind of like a little quirkiness. He likes a little crazy.
Yeah. And you know, she definitely has some issues. If you've been married to Wyndham Earl for 10 years, you're gonna have some issues.
I'm curious to see how this pre. I mean, I'm not sure how much you're going to show of that dynamic, but I'm curious to see what the pre-downfall
of which dynamic. The three of them.
Well, just the three of them, and then the Wyndham Earl that, you know, we haven't really gotten the Wyndham Earl before this all went down. We got the Wyndham Earl that we saw, you know, killing people.
Well, yeah, he couldn't. I mean, look, you know, he's Wyndham Earl, but at the same time, he's not. He you know, he can't clue in Cooper that he's a nutcase.
Well, yeah,
you know. So I mean, there's, you know, and Cooper looks up to him, you know, and there's the chess matches, and there's the, you know, just Caroline, you know, looking at him from afar and things like that, you know.
That's why I'm so excited just to see those scenes play out.
But what's interesting, I don't know how much I can go into it, but I mean, okay, so we're dealing with Annie, we're dealing with Cooper and Earl and Caroline and all that. So the question remains is, why am I dealing with these two stories? Why am I just showing little short stories in the Twin Peaks universe we haven't seen, or is there a reason why I'm connecting these two stories?
Tell me.
Well, you'll see. But it is not this story and this story. They are intertwined.
All right.
So, and that's always been the plan. That has always been the plan from when I first thought of the story, that it is, the stories are one and the same.
Yeah, they're two very big stories that have not been told.
And to be honest, they're two big stories that could be isolated films unto themselves.
I believe it.
But together they're better. I remember when I was having trouble trying to get this film going, there were discussions like, well, why don't we just do the Annie story? Or other people would say, why don't we just do the Cooper Caroline Wyndham story? You know, just forget about the Annie story. Let's just do this one. It's like, guys, you know, this story over here is really good, and this story over here is really good, but together they're great.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they feed off each other, and that's what I'm excited about.
I mean, I would argue that a lot of the good story left to be told in Twin Peaks world is stuff that happened before we even got to Twin Peaks.
Mm-hmm. But if Annie is the redemptive story for Cooper, right? Because he's going to try to, overcome what happened with Wyndham and Caroline. He's going to go into the lodge and save Annie from Wyndham and all that. Well, right there, they're connecting the stories. Mm-hmm. in terms of, and then obviously in the Black Lodge in season 2 finale, you know, Caroline and Annie keep switching, going, it's me. Like, so they're already connected.
Yeah.
In some way. So this film kind of gets into that as well.
I mean, that also to kind of connect that even to sort of the Lynch ideals, it plays into unified theory of, you know, this was always going to happen this way. They were connected there. They're connected back. They connected that far back as well.
But one thing I do want to say, and I said this on a previous video, and I just want to say it again. when you see this film, when this film drops, you will not mistake it for a David Lynch film. You will not. This is not me trying to be David Lynch directing Twin Peaks.
I think it's probably good to reiterate.
I want to make that very, very clear, because let's say somebody goes, I'm a student of David Lynch and I know how David Lynch shoots things and stuff like that. Well, that's great. But nobody could have predicted the way he shot that Bob Ball thing with Freddy. Nobody could have predicted the way Laura's screaming and gets risen up off the floor and flies away. You know, these are things that like you just didn't see Lynch doing, right? So so there's nobody that can out there say, well, I know Lynch would shoot it this way. Well, we don't know.
No, there's none of that.
Right. So
I would consider myself a student of Lynch, and you could do similar tones and similar colors, and he has, but he also plays with a lot of those like cliches, and that's kind of his thing. He's like, I'm going to take this cliche and kind of flip it on its head a little bit.
Right.
Sure, that's stuff that anybody could tack onto, but he also has,
No, absolutely. So I'm approaching this. Look, Martin Scorsese, when I was growing up, one of the things I loved that he would say, he'd say, you have to put it down the way you see it. Okay. Well, that's what I'm doing. I'm telling the story the way I would do it. Like if this was back in the day and, they said, yeah, go make this movie, I'm not going to make this movie through the filter of David Lynch. I'm going to make this the way I would make this film. Yeah. It does take place in the universe, but it's from my perspective. So it's not trying to be Mark Frost, it's not trying to be David Lynch. It's not trying to not be them. It's not like if something plays into a David Lynch feel or a Mark Frost feel, I'm not like, well, that's just inappropriate for me to do that. Like if it goes into that territory, it's going to go into that territory. But it's not like I'm trying to approximate a David Lynch film, because what a waste of my time. What a waste of the actor's time. What a waste of your time to sit there and watch me try to be David Lynch directing Twin Peaks. That would be an embarrassment to the project. And seriously, it would be. And sort of an insult to what I was trying to do in the first place, which is tell this story. Now, because I'll say this, if David Lynch was making Queen of Hearts, he would not, in one instance, make it the way I'm making it. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And that's not saying good or bad. I'm just saying, like, we have totally different aesthetics.
So. No, yeah, I would prefer you to do it. I mean, I don't know how the majority feel, but I know I'd prefer to see Cameron making Twin Peaks rather than Cameron trying to do Lynch trying to make Twin Peaks. I think that would, like you said, I think it would degrade the project. Absolutely.
Now, does that mean that I'm just going to go hog wild with it and just do stuff that wouldn't take place in the Twin Peaks universe? No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. But it's still going to take place in the world. But that world is so big, and you can play, even though there may be some parameters, there's still so much room you can play within it. It doesn't all have to be one way.
Well, yeah, I mean, Twin Peaks, there isn't, even though we all love it and people have been watching it, there's not that much of it. There's still not, like, compared to so many other things, there's not that much Twin Peaks there. So there's a lot to do with it. So I'm curious to see what you find to work with, or what you put into it.
Okay, I'll drop one bit of knowledge here, or a tidbit here.
Scoop? Is this
This is a scoop, but I won't go into like too much detail about it. But what I will say is this: one of my pet peeves, always has been, with this topic, is that Twin Peaks, the town, as established by the original series, has its own mood, its own feel, its own textures. Once you get out of Twin Peaks, it should not feel like Twin Peaks. That's just, this is my feeling. Okay. Other people might feel differently. They might say the world of the show is Twin Peaks, and so it all should feel like Twin Peaks. Personally, I disagree. I think the town is Twin Peaks.
I would argue David Lynch and Mark Frost also agree with you.
Okay. Well, but Cooper Cooper maintains that like that's why he loves this town. It's because it's so different and it's its own insular world. Okay. So where it got and then in Fire Walk with Me, see, it made sense because in Deer Meadow had a whole different soundtrack until we got to Twin Peaks, then the chords hit, right? And that was kind of like one of my pet peeves about season 3 was that when we were in Las Vegas, they started dropping the Deer Meadow music in Las Vegas. And I was like, why are we doing this? Because that's Deer Meadow's music and we have Badalamenti, right? Why isn't he composing something new for Las Vegas? So that's always been one of my little pet peeves. So because we're dealing with Cooper and Earl and Caroline, and they're in Pittsburgh, the music is going to be vastly different than what you think Twin Peaks should be like.
Slow, dark jazz.
No, because even that's Twin Peaks.
No, that's what I mean.
It's not going to. Yeah, it needs to be different. It has to be. Cooper's younger. It needs to be more vibrant. It needs to be more exciting. And it's a different time. So it's not, so that is going to be less Twin Peaks and more Orion 1991, Silence of the Lambs, more cop FBI thriller feel, and then compare that with Annie and all that stuff. So the compare and contrast there, but yeah, so I'm very adamant about where and when to use.
That was actually going to be my next question about the music. So that was
but the music hasn't been finalized or anything like that. I'm just saying, like that's something I'm conscious of. So
okay, yeah, because I mean, I would say the music is almost 50% of what Twin Peaks, what makes Twin Peaks.
You could argue it's 50% of all movies, and another thing the film will get into is something that I feel like has been completely kind of ignored in the Twin Peaks universe, which is the relationship between Norma and Annie.
You can get a lot of that.
And this is something that I brought up to a friend the other night, and she was like, "Oh my God, I didn't even think about this." Is Annie Blackburn, who wins Miss Twin Peaks, partly because her sister is one of the jurors, is kidnapped, is missing. The sheriff station is looking for her. Everyone's looking for her. Cooper doesn't know where to find her. Where is she's kidnapped by a mad man? What does Norma do? She goes to Ed's living room and hangs out with him until Nadine wakes up. So one thing that the film kind of gets into is every time Norma is self-centered, something bad happens to Annie. And the inherent guilt that comes with that. And if you read the final dossier and kind of like what Norma does for her sister, you start to feel and see why she would turn around and start turning her business into a franchise, because she needs to take care of her sister because she never took care of her sister before.
Wow. I like that approach.
But it was something that I always thought was very important was them and their relationship or lack thereof as sisters. So
she tries to sort of start making up for it a little bit too late. So I'm sure there's like,
well, I mean, you draw on that from what the final dossier gets into and what season 3 kind of hints at, where she says, I'm doing this for my family, and if you go by the final dossier, yeah, well, she needs to do it because she needs to pay for the rest home and things like that. So,
wow. Okay.
All right. Hit me up. We don't have any questions in the comments. Come on, guys.
Any questions?
Yeah, throw out some questions while Joey's interrogating me here. And
Annis asked how the set design has been.
Overall good. There's been some hiccups in terms of just like because we kind of come back and forth between different locations that sometimes, we have locations that like aren't available, and so we have to work around stuff like that.
A lot of running gun. How was so most of the shooting, would you say, has been done fall and winter?
Well, we're still doing it, so
I mean, into early spring, I imagine.
yeah. I mean, we started in October, and then we took some time off, and then we came back in November. We shot through November, and then we took off most of December because people traveling and things like that. And then we regrouped in January, and we've been going pretty consistently every weekend since January.
So I know you said lady playing Caroline is a Twin Peaks fan. Are any of the other actors Twin Peaks fans? Or are they casual Twin Peaks fans?
Most of them had never seen Twin Peaks until they took it on, and then so it's been, but they've been great, I mean, they're now way into it, but
have they started watching it, or are they like sort of?
They're done. I mean, they've done watching it. They finished it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah, but yeah, a lot of them actually hadn't seen it, And I said, well, just kind of watch it, just kind of get an idea, not necessarily for like Cooper and Annie and stuff, but like other people, just kind of check out this clip or these scenes or whatever like that, just so you get a sense. You don't have to watch all 30 episodes of season 1 and 2. So
yeah, okay.
But like when you saw that photo montage, I know you've seen a lot of those pictures before, but like when you see them all together and stuff like that, what kind of feeling do you get when you watch that? Like, what is your takeaway from the film so far?
Well, see, this is kind of what I meant about sort of the evolution of this movie so far. From the tone, there's been I feel like there's been a tone shift since the early promos and like sort of the
how so for you? What's the tone shift?
So at first it felt a little bit more, I don't know. It felt a little grittier. I don't know how to describe. It felt a little bit I don't know, like grungier. Now this is starting to feel
classier.
I think that's what I want to say. It felt very like sort of like we're going to get into the dirt, which I'm sure we are, but it's starting to feel, I don't know. I'm starting to get a fuller picture. It's starting to seem like there's, not just one. You weren't trying to emulate Lynch before, but it seems like there's more of a sort of a definitive style starting to come through these movies. And I haven't seen any of your movies or work before this, so now I'm starting to understand what this movie is going to feel like and it's going to look like and how it's going to move. Which we haven't really gotten that with the promos. They're really short and they're very specific.
Except for that 10-minute one that I shot up in Washington, that was a pretty big one.
Well, yeah, but I feel like that was more just sort of a teaser. I mean, we're not seeing how
it's a promo. It's a promo.
Yeah,
I mean, that girl wasn't even cast as Annie when I shot it. So
we're not getting sort of a feel of how this story is going to flow, or maybe how the characters are going to feel. Again, that's why I'm so curious of how the dynamic is going to work. Because even the pictures, I'm like, some of these pictures, you could feel like that there's energy in this room. There's something happening, and kind of want to know what is.
But also, what makes me happy is that people are seeing that I'm doing this story, and I'm taking it super seriously. I mean, and I don't mean like just the story taken seriously, but just being able to have the ability to tell the story. You can tell that I'm taking it seriously, that I'm not like half-assing this thing. I mean, like you can really, hopefully, I mean, that's what people have told me, at least. They're just like, wow, I didn't realize this was going to be something.
I think that might be what it is. So I think before the early clips might have seemed a little bit more of your kind of had more of a standard fan film. Like, kind of feel. You have like set locations and there's familiar faces and scenes and stuff, but now it's starting to feel like a movie. It's just starting to feel like a movie that's going to come out. It doesn't feel fan filmish as well.
That was always the intent.
I'm not trying to be offensive or trying to
but that was always the intent. I mean, keep in mind that this project, again, it's not like something that's been on my mind for 28 years or whatever like that. But just like it was something that I thought up in 1992. And I thought, wouldn't it be fun to do this story? And the idea was that when I went down to LA and was going to go to college and stuff like that, the idea always was if I ever found myself in a room with David Lynch and Mark Frost, and they were like what Ridley Scott does when writers go in to pitch stuff to him, he says, well, that's really interesting. Well, what else you got? Give me some ideas. What are some things you'd like to do? If they ever had said that to me, this is what I would have pitched to them. Now, who knows if they would have liked it or not? But let's say they liked it, and let's say they said go for it and do it. Well, this is what I wanted to do. Now, of course, at that time there was no season 3, so there's some details that had to be maneuvered and kind of added to, but at the same time, the core of the story is always what I wanted to tell. And so, obviously, for legal reasons and things like that, you have to differentiate yourself from the actual IP and say it's a fan film, which is what it is.
Yes. But
the intent has always been to make it as legit as possible. I mean, yes, it's under the guise of a fan film, but but this would have been my thing if this had been a legit film anyway. So I'm just telling it under the fan film thing, but that's always been my goal, is to make this as tangible and real and sincere and emotional and all that, and so that when people watched even just the photo thing yesterday, and they got messages from people saying like, this thing, not only I can tell you're telling your story, but it fits so well within what we know of the Twin Peaks universe. And there's no like, look at this little callback to this like Audrey Horne shoe shot or something. I mean, it's just there's Annie, there's Caroline, there's Wyndham, there's Cooper. There's none of this like fan servicey stuff happening because it never was supposed to be that. Mm-hmm. It was always supposed to be just the story. And that's what I'm so proud of that the most, is that I'm able to just tell the story within the universe. And, it's like the actor, when he came to me and said, he was playing Wyndham Earl, and he said, well, how crazy do you want this guy? And I said, you have to understand, we as fans know Wyndham Earl is bat nuts. Yeah. Right. So you don't have to play bat nuts. The way you just say a line, people are going to read into it because you're Wyndham Earl. Mm-hmm. So you don't even have to go for an effect, because the effect is who you're playing. Right.
We know how this story ends up. So we're watching to see how.
Right. But you don't have to tip your hand. Do you know what I mean? You can just play it, because we know, Wyndham Earl said that. We better watch out. Okay. So anyway, but I'm happy that, and this was always the plan too, is to tell the story, but have it still take place within the universe, so that, look, I'm not saying you have to, okay? I'm just saying if you want to, it will fit within the canon, and if you want to, my dream, because this will never be official canon, I know. However, nothing would make me happier if the fans of Twin Peaks that watched it, if they really liked it, would kind of consider it sort of an appendices of like, hey, I have this friend that really likes Twin Peaks. Well, if you watched all 3 seasons of the movie, you should watch this. And that's always been my dream, is that it would just be, you should watch this too.
I mean, if you really want it, like, you could always go, this is alternate universe Annie. This is what's happening in Twin Peaks 2 or something. Side Twin Peaks.
Twin Peaks Earth 2.
Yeah, Earth 2 Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
But I think my final question for you is going to be, are you happy now? Are you happy that you got to record it now rather than, pre-return, pre-books? Do you still wish you could have done that version in the 90s, or are you happy that you're doing this version now?
It's better now. It's better now.
Okay.
Because the I remember when season 3 came out, and then the final dossier came out, people were saying to me, "Oh, is this gonna cramp your style? Is this gonna, change things of how you want to do stuff?" And actually, no, it actually opened up more doors for me, and it allowed me to, because I was always like stuck on certain things, like, well, how am I gonna get from here to here? And then they helped me.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, that's perfect. So it's just everything's worked out. Everything's worked out.
Okay.
Now again, I'm in the home stretch right now. There's still a lot of hard work to do, a lot of stuff to do. However, it feels so good to just be able to say we're in the home stretch, rather than we haven't started yet.
I mean,
nothing broke my heart more than coming on these videos and people asking me, when are you going to start this thing? Or the rumors going around, oh, you stole everybody's money. I mean, it was like, do you know, like, how heartbreaking that was to like see that kind of stuff and hear that kind of stuff, because it never was true. But because it was taking so long, and because people were trashing my name and throwing it under the bus and in the mud, they saw an opportunity to try to take me and this project down, and they took it. And there wasn't anything I could do about it. No matter, the harder I protested my innocence about the whole thing, the harder I got bashed over the head.
I'm sure plenty of people thought I was silly for still supporting it through and through, but now look where you are with this. So
yeah, I mean, again, the film's not edited together yet. It's not, still shooting it, but it's
you said home stretch.
Yes.
So.
And I will say this, no matter what, this thing's going to be pretty damn memorable when it's done. So, Kareem writes, I like how you're making the effort to make this fit into canon. Absolutely. Because again, while I'm not trying to make this in the style of David Lynch, I'm also not like an a-hole that's going to be like, well, I'm going to take Twin Peaks back and I'm going to make it the way I wanted to make it because I didn't like season 3 or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, listen, even if I like season 3 for the most part, but like, even if the things, let's say there were things in season 3 that I really didn't like. Okay. Well, I don't get to rewrite that, right? That's their story. So, yeah. So the challenge to me is, if I haven't, thank God, because my story doesn't even go near this aspect. But like, if I was going towards something that they said in Twin Peaks, I don't get to overwrite that. My job would be, if I collided with something, my job as a writer would be to work with it or work around it. So luckily that never happened to me, but I was prepared that if I had to, I was going to have to. Their canon trumps anything I would do.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say from what I've seen of this, and what I know, that this is painstakingly canon. Like there's stuff that you're gonna be like, you're kind of have a couple like my mind is blown moments, because Cameron kind of really dotted the I's and crossed the T's.
Now that being said, there are some major things I got wrong. Because I'm exhausted. I'm so tired that like sometimes I'll watch back over the footage and go, oh, I needed to move that pillow over like a foot and I didn't. You know what I mean? Things like that. I'm just saying.
They're just like, but those are more sort of
No, I know.
Inconsistencies between certain takes, probably, that are not gonna.
You know what? All I have to say is a future, is a past. I don't care. That's how you get out of all of it.
Futures, there could be a lot of time shifting in between takes.
Exactly. Gary Norris says, even if it takes another year, we've been with you since the beginning. We can wait. Well, it won't take that long.
I mean, this.
I'm actually going to be losing actors soon, because they're like, people are going to be moving and things like that. So I can't have this go on too much longer. Noreen says, I wish we could all gather together and watch your finished movie in person. It's funny. Some of the actors are like, are you going to have a premiere? I'm like, a premiere? Yeah, on YouTube. I mean, what kind of premiere you think I'm going to have? This isn't like, but some people are in LA and they're just like, oh, we could rent out a theater and play it, and it's like, yeah, but I don't know. I mean, that because a lot of the actors are so like, some are in San Francisco, some are in Los Angeles, some are around me, some were other places. You couldn't get everybody together.
I mean, I would love to fly out for a premiere of this, but I'm sure when it comes out, we'll do something. We'll have like sort of some celebration.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of stuff. I mean, I already know the cast wants to do like a commentary.
Okay.
And I know I'm going to do one, and I know myself and my producer are going to do one. So there's going to be multiple things like that. So like there'll be like one that's just dedicated to story, and then there'll be one about like how I made it, and then different aspects of it, because I know a lot of people are going to have questions, because I'm going to tell you, when you see this thing, you're going to be amazed what I pulled off for what money we had. So we clocked in a lot of favors. Let's just say that a lot of favors.
The indie movie struggle.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, while yes, money was raised, that money is like catering on one day on some craft services table for one day on some $6 million movie or something like that. It's like, and remember, Indiegogo and PayPal and all that, they took a chunk too.
I mean, just to put it in perspective, for one day of shooting as an extra on Joker, I got almost $500 for one day of shooting as an extra. That's not even in the, like, as far as I've seen, not even in the final cut.
Right. Gary Norris says a small prop misplacement can't be as bad as the coffee cup in Game of Thrones. I did post up a really funny picture on the Facebook page, if you're not on there, of Cooper and Caroline kissing, and there's the Starbucks coffee cup right there, and I think I wrote something like "not on my watch" or something like that. But just having fun,
Starbucks around in the early '90s, weren't they?
Well, not in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
But no, so I'm extremely happy everything's coming together, and again, we got a tough weekend coming up, but we'll get through it. I mean, we did 14 hours 2 weeks ago on one day.
Incredible.
One day, and then people still came back the next day to shoot again. So
see how everything works out. I love it.
Yes. All right. Any other questions, Joey? Are you totally just?
I mean, I want to see more from it. Any more questions? Any more burning questions I have?
I'll say this. I know probably in April, I'll be done shooting by then. So probably around mid-April or so, I'm thinking I'm going to drop the trailer.
All right. So I'm sure there will be plenty of questions then.
I don't know how long the trailer would be, because I don't want to give anything away, because that's kind of the thing. It's like, well, if you show this character a little too much, it's going to tip my hand as to like which direction we're going in and stuff like that. So I have to kind of keep things a little mysterious, but you know
who else is mysterious? David Lynch.
He is. And in fact, I had a friend that said to me, well, if you ever get stuck in a jam, just you're basically under the Twin Peaks guys anyway. You can pretty much do anything strange and get away with it, as long as you have the right sound effect. And
it's a good tool.
Yeah, it is. But that's David. That might be David Lynch's approach, right? And it might be something that you can utilize, but it's not something that I don't want to use as a crutch. I don't want it to be like that.
Well, I would argue that we're like any of us filmmakers or artists are kind of like a reservoir of all the people we appreciate and love, and we pull out of it, pull out of the toolbox. Hey, this is a Scorsese thing. This is a Kubrick thing. This is a Lynch thing. I'm going to use this here. And I think that's completely reasonable.
It's funny though. I'll drop this out too. There are a couple shots so far where like it's like complete Scorsese moving camera type of stuff, and one of the actors on set was just like, "You're shooting this like a Scorsese film, and this is like Twin Peaks." And I said, Yeah, but we're in Pittsburgh. This is not Twin Peaks.
Yeah, there's. I mean, like a Scorsese shot would be, or Scorsese, however.
What I mean, seriously, like again, I'm not quoting anything. I'm not thinking of anything. I'm just throwing this out there as hypothetical. Shouldn't aspects, not the whole movie, aspects of Cooper and Wyndham Earle as partners not feel like The Departed?
No, that's what I mean. In Pittsburgh, you have these two FBI agents. You're gonna follow them. You're gonna do these kind of shots that all of us film buffs. They were like, oh, why do I recognize?
I don't mean like you're copying a shot or something like that, but just you know what a Scorsese fast camera is like, and that what, when an FBI are trying to follow up a clue or a hint or whatever, they don't have time to sit around and ponder about life. They're on the move.
I mean, that's a lot of us film people would look at this, but people that don't know like technical film stuff, and if it feels organic, and it works, it's not, and it keeps if it doesn't pull you out of the film.
Exactly. Again, I haven't edited it. Maybe when I'm watching, I go, that it doesn't work. But I'm just saying, when I'm on set, I'm not going, well, I can't do that camera move because David Lynch wouldn't do that. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to tell it the way I see it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if I feel like this shot would be great. Oh, but David Lynch and Mark Frost wouldn't shoot Twin Peaks like that. I don't know how they would shoot Twin Peaks, because when I saw season 3, there was aspects that Lynch did in there. I never saw that coming. So nobody can predict what someone's going to do.
Well, also, and I think a lot of, especially with part 3, a lot of what you saw and that didn't predict because, this wasn't Lynch. It's probably because of the time constraints. And we know how frustrated he was with that. So get the shot. Let's go. Let's move. So it might have seemed not like him, probably for technical
reasons. But that's fine. What I'm saying, that's what made it exciting to me, were these moments that kind of were not standard Lynch stuff.
Yeah.
Like that whole thing between Hush and Chantel and the Polish accountant, right? That was like classic Hitchcock, classic Coen Brothers.
Well, that's the thing, because a lot of the things that people liken to Lynch, he's also, taken from his influences, and a lot of it is from Hitchcock.
Exactly.
And a lot of older French filmmakers too. So, he's pulled from other people. So,
like I said, so again, I'm sure people know this, but just this. So when you see this, it's as you've seen from all the trailers and things like that, this is going to have its own feel, its own stamp on it, but it's going to be in the universe. And what I'm so happy about, because we all know that sometimes Twin Peaks fans can be sticklers, is that while there is a large group out there that refuses to post anything, share anything about this project, the love that I've felt from the other side has been extraordinary, because it's been so people have been so appreciative and happy to see it. And I think it's because they know that, again, I'm not half-assing this. Like, this seems like maybe it's a new version of Twin Peaks you're not used to, but at the same time, though, it's not repelling you either. It's like, it's another aspect.
I think from what I've learned something in the past, there's a very silent majority in all this, and they've been fans of your stuff. They've been fans of mine. I get emails saying, I don't have social media, so I'm sorry I can't talk about it, but I really like your stuff. So I think there's a lot of those people too, and they can't just contribute to the conversation, but they're also super excited.
Yeah, well, I'm super excited to see this. And people say to me, I can't wait to see the film, and I say, me too, because I again, it's still being put together. Lizzo says, how do we get to see it? It's going to be online. It's just going to be online. I haven't decided where yet, but it will be available online. And trust me, when this thing hits, I'm going to be very curious to see how fast this thing travels around the world, because there are things in this film that once it kind of hits, it's going to be showing up in everyone's Facebook private message threads and stuff like that. Like, you guys need to go see this. If anything, go to this timestamp now.
What I can't wait for, and I feel like it's going to be inevitable, is when people from the show watch it and possibly say something or message somebody, because I feel like that's going to happen. And I'm curious to see what that feedback is going to be like.
But at the same time, though, and I know they know this, but I'm just stating this out here for everybody else. This thing is not a, well, I can do this better type of attitude. Not at all. It's very much like, hey, I want to throw my hat in and be a part of this conversation with you guys. And if people want to accept it, great. People don't want to accept it, fine. But I think that you will see, when you see the finished film, you will see nothing but respect and love for this, not only this property, but us as fans. Because if it wasn't for all of us as fans, this thing wouldn't even exist.
It's like any other piece of fan art. You do it because you love the thing, and just because it's a movie, it's a a fan making his movie, his interpretation, his version of the story.
Well, let me ask you this, because I mean, we watch a lot of fan stuff, right? I mean, there was the Kenobi film, there was the
Kenobi film was great.
The Darth Vader film that the Star Wars Theory put out there, and that was really good too. Like I've seen a lot of bad fan films, and I've seen some really good ones, right? From your perspective, from what you've seen, what to you differentiates? Now, again, we haven't seen the finished film, so who knows? It could be terrible. But what to you differentiates from what you've seen of Queen of Hearts between a positive fan film or a negative fan film? What what gives you the feeling, besides you just knowing me, what gives you the feeling like, oh, this is going in the right direction?
So I've seen a lot of fan films, and the fan films are getting a lot better in like recent years. I've seen a lot of really fantastic ones, but there's and a lot of them are made by sort of people just starting out and kind of younger people. But there's almost sort of there's the difference between a fan film and something that doesn't feel like there's because the fan film has sort of a negative connotation.
Yeah,
people kind of
let me tell you something. It does, because to try to get actors on board this film and take it seriously when it says Twin Peaks fan film was super hard.
Yeah. Super
hard, because they were like, well, this is a fan thing, and I don't know. I mean, it's not can't play at festivals, it can't go anywhere, it's not. But more people will see it than a film that screens at Sundance.
I mean,
that was my argument. Always my argument.
But that's also, it's the problem, and it's also this distinguishing factor, because a lot of fan films and the way that people interpret fan films, it's very like, I shot this in my garage kind of thing with overhead lighting, like I didn't do anything extra. I think what sets it apart from other fan films is that it feels cinematic. There's there's like we were talking about, there's certain tools and little things you could do with the camera and lighting and certain wardrobe choices that kind of round it out and make it feel like it's a fan film, but it if you take away, it just feels like a movie. It feels like something I'm going to watch in the theater.
Well, look, Twin Peaks, especially seasons 1 and 2, to me, and you could throw in, you can throw in the whole thing, but I'm looking at this from like when I first thought up this idea. That's a pretty high bar, in my opinion. And if I am going to dare, and I mean dare, try to tell this story and put my name on it, it cannot be lower than that bar.
I mean, that bar is so high. That bar set a standard for cinematic storytelling, television, just technically in general.
Now, look,
that is the bar. That's like still the bar.
It is still the bar, but I'm saying like maybe the people watching it won't hit that bar. But for me personally, if I don't feel like I at least hit that bar 90% of the time, then it wasn't. You know what I mean? Like I'll feel like I let myself down. But so far, I feel like at least in the shooting of it, I'm hitting it. I'm hitting it more often than I'm not. And if I'm and hopefully in the not, we either reshoot it or we can fix it in post. But I feel like when I feel good at the end of every night shooting, that makes me extremely happy because it keeps me going through the schedule. Like, okay, we got that. We know we got that.
Mm-hmm.
Great. And everything we're shooting is like, there's no easy moment in this film. Everything is just like, we got to nail this emotion. We gotta do this. We gotta do that. And it's just, I'm really happy that the cast has really stepped up. I think at first they were like, I don't know about this. This is kind of a risky cliff dive here.
Sure.
But now we've been going for a while, and they were seeing the footage and they're seeing the images, and they're just like you thinking, oh, this isn't what I thought it might be. It actually is something else.
That was kind of what I was alluding to earlier. It's kind of stepped out of the realm of, fan film into, cinematic. It's probably the biggest,
Although it's still a fan film, but at the same time, the
sort of technically, it's cinematic. Like, you're gonna get, there's emotions that can be captured.
I have a lot writing on this. Okay, I have a lot writing on this. One, I'm attempting to tell something in the Twin Peaks universe. Right there, who the hell am I to think that I could do that? Right. So that's right there. That's a big challenge. Even though I've done lots of other things, that's still a big challenge. One, it's not like something like, I didn't watch season 3 and be like, would it be cool to just make this like Twin Peaks fan film? Like, no, this is something that's been something I always wanted to tell. Great. But to do it, you have to do it right. And if you don't do it right, go big and go home. That's what I've told a lot of the actors. We're going big or we're going home. And we're going to do our best to hit it. And we may fail, but we're going to go for it. Right? And the cinematic nature of it. Well, that's just the nature of Twin Peaks, right? You have to go that way. So, we're shooting this thing all in 4K. It's going to be gorgeous when it's done. And the important thing is to, not half-ass this, go full in. And again, like I said, I have a lot right on it, because if I do this project well, even though it took me a long time to get off the ground, if I can complete this thing and have it be 50% of what people think it's going to be, right? I mean, obviously my bar is higher, but let's say even if I hit 50% of what you think is going to be, then when I decide to eventually do another project, people will be more inclined to want to be a part of it. Like, I'm already getting people going, when are you releasing a trailer? I want to see this trailer. I'm like, probably mid-April. And then people are saying to me, when are you going to do a Kickstarter for, one of that true crime thing you wanted to do or something like that? Because I'll contribute to it right now. Because they're just going off just the pictures of this film. They haven't even seen. And so that's why I feel like, okay, good. I was kind of like crapped on for a long time. And now I feel like the universe is like kind of, all right, we'll start letting you through a little bit. So I'm very happy about that, because look, when this thing is done, like I said, it's going to be the thing that really, in a good way, really like shakes up this community in a really good way, because it's going to just reawaken every bit of love you have for this series. And when I read comments saying, oh my God, this feels like, season 3 is coming out again, and when they're looking at this kind of thing, that makes me so happy, because that's all. It's not like I'm trying to compete or say, oh, I want to be just like this, but I know what it was like.
You're fans serving the other fans with this.
Well, yeah, but it's like, I remember when season 3 was coming out, right? The anticipation, the buildup. So it's like, well, why wouldn't I want to give that feeling to other people? Because that was one of the best parts.
I think that's, it just goes back to even being just a filmmaker. You kind of want to give people that kind of magical feeling or excited feeling.
Right. And like the pictures you're seeing, honestly, are coming from things we've, recently shot or things of that nature. So, I mean, there's still stuff to do. So it's like, when people start seeing, like I said, the Cooper Caroline stuff, and they're just like, oh wow, there's Cooper Caroline stuff. Well, it's like, yeah, because that's what we were shooting. So that's what I was starting to release, But anyway, I'm just thrilled that that people have been so welcoming, and all I can ask is just please continue to share it and share stuff and let pages know, hey, you should be talking about this, because let's be honest here, except for the Graceland thing coming up, not a lot happening in the Twin Peaks community. And I think it's a real shame. Again, not trying to rustle any feathers, but I think it's a real shame if this project, which is pretty cool in my opinion, there's a lot of Twin Peaks fans that don't know about it, and it's because they're on pages that refuse to share it or talk about it. And I think it's sad, because they may not support it or whatever they want to do, but to hold back that information from their readership and viewers, I think is a huge mistake, because that is ultimately going to come back and bite them in the butt. Because, if they go, hey, I subscribe to you because I want to know all the latest cool things happening in the community, and you're sharing all the stuff about this artist is inspired by Twin Peaks and they're dropping an album and they're doing this, but you didn't tell me this was coming out, and this thing comes out. And then people go back and realize there's been not just this isn't, again, I'm not knocking this at all, but this isn't like the Laura Palmer fan film that just they just dropped it. There's been a build up, there's been an anticipation for this project for a while. And so people come back and look at this and they go, well, wait a minute, we had 2 years of build up to this thing and none of these pages shared it. Something's off. I need to get my Twin Peaks news somewhere else then. So, I mean, so I wish that people and pages would just go, all right, whatever problems we had with him in the past, bygones being bygones, we have to talk about this.
I mean, they could join the Twin Peaks Universe Facebook group if they want some more inside info.
That's true. You run your own page.
Yeah.
Although
but it's kind of as a reaction to what has been happening, because I'm like, why do these people, who gets to control this dialogue? Why do they get to control this sort of the narrative here? And I kind of wanted to put my skin in the game, kind of give everybody a chance.
Well, that's why I wanted to do today's video anyway, because I was like, well, I personally just think it's a little funny that I drop things or I put stuff out online and nobody talks about it. I checked and see it, where is this being shared? Nobody is sharing it except for people I know, or I think so. I'm like, okay, I guess I gotta just put out my own videos then about it, because nobody else is gonna talk about it.
I mean, also things that people could do is always remember to also turn on that notification bell for on YouTube, and turn on get alerted when Obnoxious and Anonymous or Queen of Hearts fan film tweets or something. There's little things you could do to make sure you're seeing everything as well.
Right, because right now you're not. I mean, there's a lot of people like Anna, who's a friend of ours.
Yeah,
she's kindly written up blogs about this, and Richard Austin has written up blogs about this. But Anna has gotten messages from people. She sends them to me where they go, I didn't even know this thing existed. Well, yeah. Isn't that sad?
I mean, not only are you fight the problem with social media and all this stuff is not only are you fighting with people not even discussing it, you're fighting with the algorithms that also are kind of pinned to get pushing against you. So it's
and it certainly doesn't help when people who don't want to share it or talk about it basically run a lot of the major sites. So they collectively as a group have said, we're not going to talk about this. We're not going to share it. All we're going to do is ignore it. So fine.
Maybe we start on
but that's fine. To each their own, and that's great. However, the problem is that then cool things like this aren't being discovered by others because they subscribe to only certain people. So anyway, so if you like what you see, let us know, and and talk about it online and write blogs, or contact people on movie blog sites and say, hey, you know, you should write an article about this. You should cover this. This would be something cool to have, you know, read about.
No, yeah, like stuff like that. I'm sure, you know, unless they're a huge publication, I'm sure a lot of sort of small indie movie blogs, they're gonna want stuff to talk about. They're definitely gonna want content coming in that they don't have to work for. So if you could like deliver this to them and be like, hey, there's the thing happening, they'll probably be grateful.
Yeah, and when the trailer drops, that's kind of gonna be my thing that I wanna get it out there. I don't mean just on Facebook and Twitter and stuff. I mean I wanna get websites, you know, put it out there and things like that. So if you know anybody, excuse me, you know, contact them, let them know, or even submit a tip to them. You know, all the websites have these submitted tips. You know, tell them, hey, I want to see some coverage on this thing. You know, they cover lots of other fan things. Let me tell you, you know, so it's not like out of their, you know, whenever there's someone makes a Friday the 13th fan film, they're always covering it. So, you know, it's anyway. I know these actors, and my crew and myself have worked really, really hard on this thing. And I just want ultimately for as many people as possible to see it. And I need to get the word out basically. But I've told the actors this, that like, you know, the first few days, first week, you know, we may do really good. We may be pretty good. We may do average. I don't know. But to me, it's even though I'm not putting this in theaters, it's not about opening weekend. Basically, it's are people in 5 years still coming back to it? That's what I want. Is I want it to be like, as new Twin Peaks fans come out or you know, come together. Hey, have you seen this? You know, and I want it like, I want in its 5th year to have bigger numbers than it did even in its first year, because it just goes crazy. And from things that I've shown Joey and some others off camera, I think that there are definitely some goods in this film that will get those kind of legs.
The best is yet to come.
Oh, I've barely shown anything, guys. I'll tell you that much.
I was almost falling out of my chair over here. So, you know, I could say with confidence the best is yet to come.
All right, Joey. Let's round this out, because
all right,
I need to go feed Mr. C here.
I'm also starving, so I need
there you go. So this is how you find Joey on YouTube and Twitter.
Pretty easy. Yeah. It's the same everywhere. Wherever you want to find, you know, I'm on most things. So just search my name and you'll probably find me.
LSD Close says the picture montage was great. Can't wait to see the film. Thank you. What made you choose, excuse me, the Days of Heaven music? Well, that music is actually called Carnival of the Animals Aquarium. It's a famous, you know, piece of music that Terrence Malick used at the beginning of Days of Heaven. It also was used in the trailer for Curious Case of Benjamin Button. And why did I use it? Well, because it's very nostalgic. It's very dreamy, basically, and also it gives you a feeling of days gone past and about stories that haven't been told, and it pulls you into another world, which is what this is all about. So that's and also you know, that music is just, I love that music. And to give you a personal insight, when Mr. C was very little, baby, and he was crying in the car, the moment I turned on that music on the CD player, he'd stop every single time. And so I was just like, wow, that music just kind of like got into my head. And so when it came time to do the thing, I just thought this is the way to do it. And I've watched that video, that photo montage, like so many times, not because like I'm like, oh wow, look how cool I am, but I love that music, and I love the way the images play off the music and things like that. So I just think that's cool. So anyway, all right, well, this is me. Oh, that's my address where you can send things to me. Oops, sorry. But yeah, if you want to send me snail mail, here you go. I haven't checked in a while, so please forgive me if I haven't mentioned your gift or whatever.
I'll send you your Christmas card almost 3 months late. Because I could not find this, and I wanted to send you a Christmas card, and I couldn't find where this was.
There it is. There it is. It's always on the show notes too, Joey. So
you're gonna get a Christmas card in March, just so you know.
That's fine with me. And then here's the email and PayPal for us. And of course, here's our YouTube, our Facebook, and our Patreon. Come join our Patreon. Come on, it'll be fun. $1 a month really helps this channel, and obviously, the more patrons we have, the more I can start doing more and more videos because I won't have to work other places. And then you can follow Twitter is Obnoxious Anonymous is for our YouTube channel, and then Bodie26 is my personal account. So, all right,
notifications.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate it. Thank you, Joey, for joining me. We did a great video talking about all this. And
I miss these. It's always good to come back and just talk about Twin Peaks every now and then.
I know, but there was so little to say for so long. But so we make our own Twin Peaks.
That's right.
Exactly. All right, everybody. Have a wonderful night. I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Oh, be sure to give this video a big thumbs up. All right. Bye, guys.